What's up, everybody? I am Glenn G. Gatling. We're back for another segment of All About Understanding. Thank God for this opportunity, of course, and as well, thank you all for sharing this experience with me. If you are viewing this for the first time, All About Understanding is my motivational platform. So as you check this out, what I want you to know about All About Understanding is a concept that I believe in. I'm a firm believer of All About Understanding, applying it to ourselves and applying it to our well-being and our livelihood. Yeah, it sounds simple on the surface because everything that we seek to understand or seek to learn about, we gain knowledge. And in order to gain that knowledge, that's our way of, or I should say, by gaining that knowledge, that's our way of trying to understand before we move forward. You know, building a house. When we build a house, we check out the blueprint. We sit down, do the research so we can understand how to do it, how to build that house. Same thing with cars. Anything materialistic or anything that we want to educate ourselves on, we sat back and we gain knowledge to seek understanding. Well, my deal is that do we actually do that with our personal being? Do we actually self-reflect, and are we always conscious every day of applying a level of understanding to ourselves so we can be the best person we can possibly be for ourselves, for society, for the people who seek our support? So that's what All About Understanding is. What's funny about that situation is when that concept came to me in 2002, 2003, of course I was in my process of struggling. I mean, I was going through it, you know, as I spoke about previously. I didn't have any identity of myself, but even during those times, you know, what's amazing about God is in the midst of your storm, He still will show you glimpses and pieces of your gift. And all you have to do is take the time and once again seek better understanding of yourself, and then seek Him also, so you can get a better understanding of what your gifts are and how you need to be, what you need to do to grab your purpose, to grab your dream. Okay, well, like I said, 2002, 2003, All About Understanding. My wife and I were dealing with some issues with our coworkers. We were clashing. We were clashing with them. They were clashing with us. For me personally, I was, pretty much clashing with everybody that I didn't feel like was like-minded as myself. So one day we were talking, and I was giving my wife, and this is probably after months of clashing with them. The concept came to me. I told my wife, I said, look, man, it's all about understanding, and we need to understand who we're dealing with. They're not going to change. We're not going to change. It's kind of like that saying that they have, agree to disagree. Well, you can't do that unless you have a understanding of what the concept is that you cannot agree or disagree about, right? And then you can move forward. Then you can stop the argument and move forward. Well, the same thing with the people that we were dealing with and the advice I was giving. We can't control them. We can't change their way, can't change their ways. We can't change the way that they are thinking. So let's stop getting frustrated and arguing with them, constantly trying to prove our point. Let's just understand this is who they are, and now we know how to deal with them, right? So, but like I said, at the time, I had no idea, that I needed to be applying that to myself. I guess that's the only reason why I could really share that with my family, because without, at the risk of sounding hypocritical, I was good at giving advice, but I was terrible at applying it to myself because I was going through a storm back then. Now, the storm I was going through, fortunately, I was able to see some of my bits and pieces of my talent, because the work was now about to begin, and that's something that I want to clear up about the hills and valleys of our process, of our struggling, of our process of identifying who we are and what we go through. A lot of people think that our darkest moment is the hardest moment, right? Everybody's story may be different in the beginning. You may start at the bottom and you are in that black hole and you got to fight your way up to happiness and prosperity. Some of us, like myself, I was already up there. Once again, like I told you before, I was raised correctly. I had everything that I needed and I wanted. I had the plan for my life ahead of me. But that's probably what the problem was. My plan wasn't God's plan. So with me trying to do it on my own, it didn't work. Well, the bottom line is that everybody's black hole is everybody's black hole, no matter what the details of that is. Everybody's darkest moment is the same, but it's not our hardest moment. You know why? Because we're not moving when we're in that black hole. When we're in that state of depression, we're not going anywhere, right? We're not moving. We ain't trying to get out. We become comfortable in that spot. As painful as it is, don't get me wrong, it's painful, and that's why it's a dark moment, but we become comfortable with masking what's going on inside. We become comfortable with out here faking and out here fronting. And for me at that time, it was partying. It was partying. It was spending every moment looking for the next party to hide my feelings and pretend like I'm having a good time. I would go to bed partying. I would party until I went to sleep. Wake up, we go play ball because that's what I love to do. Take a shower, look for the next party. So I was trying not to give myself time to reflect on the dark moment that I was in. Well, once again, God was blessing me by providing me with my wife. And what he did was that he had her, because she knew me better than I knew myself, she left, right? Because she knew that was the best thing for me at the time. When I made the decision to come to her and my first daughter, then that was when the work began. That was my hardest moment, because now I'm working, just like the treadmill when you're going up the up climb. Now you're working. Now I'm saying, okay, this is what I got to do, and this is when it's time to fight. And everybody know when it's time to fight, you're gonna take some losses, you're gonna take some hits. And when you in that fight, you in that grind, that is actually your hardest moment because you're moving. So during that time period, when I was moving, I was still struggling. I took a lot of beat downs mentally and emotionally. I was still making the wrong decisions. But the one thing I had going for me is I had a little light at the end of the tunnel, which was my wife and which was my daughter, okay? As you notice, I didn't say God yet, right? I didn't say God yet. Let's just be real. And that is why, but then God still had mercy on me, and that is why I was still struggling. What happened at the next point in time is what I'm really excited to share with you today about. Okay, I told you about my pops passing away. Then my grandmother and my aunt passed away, which is my mother's sister and my mother's mother, okay? So she's going through it. We're all going through it because we were a close family. My mother and her sister married my father and his brother. So, we had no such thing as in-laws. Like we were all close. So when they passed away and then one of my uncles passed away, who we were also very close to then. I mean, it was crazy for all of us, but as far as how it affected me, it was a dark time for my mom, and when she really, when depression really hit her because of her grief. Now, you go to my wife. My depression that hit my wife at that time also, because of some things in her history, but for some reason during that course and during that time period, it really affected her and had her in a standstill. Then to top it off, my oldest daughter, she gets diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Okay, so now and then I have my middle daughter, her sister. So now all the important females in my life are going through it. Okay, they going through it, and this is when I made the turning point. Right. This is when I had nobody else to talk to because I had to stay strong and support them. So I couldn't give them my problems because that would have been selfish on my part. I had to make sure I was there for them. And thankfully, I went through what I went through to where that prepared me for that. But it wasn't until I totally committed to God and because I had nobody else to talk to. You see, he was the only one that understood what I was going through. And I never forget one day I was sobbing, man. I was feeling really down, crying my eyes out, and I was like, I ain't got nobody to talk to, and I'm holding it in. People in the street, even your closest friends, they hear you, but if they don't really understand what you're saying, that's all they really doing is listening. and as sincere as they are, that's all they can do is really listen. So anyway, man, I see God, man. I prayed, committed myself, and that is when, man, I found my purpose. I found my dream. I felt it was an overwhelming, amazing sense of peace when I committed and I figured out what I need to be doing with my life, and that is this right here. That is motivating. That is going back to school for psychology so I can be a life coach, because that is my gift. That is my passion, and not only that, but what drives me so. When you going, because remember, when you hit that black hole and that dark spot, and it's time to climb up, you hear a lot of the motivational speakers, preachers, anybody that's giving you a word of encouragement. You have to have something that drives you, right? And in order to climb up to the top, you have to have a goal. When you're losing weight, you got to have a goal in order to climb up to the top. You set the treadmill for 2 miles or 3 miles. You know you're not going to stop till you get to that 3 mile. Well, for me, my family, and the fact that I had told myself that the pain that they sacrificed, of the grief and depression and what they are going through, and the fact that they love me enough to come to me for support, and they saw the gift in me to know that I can be there for them. That is what drives me. Okay, and it may sound crazy to some people, but I'm telling you, that's what I have in my mind. The fact what they sacrificed to go through in order for me to what God had them go through in order for me to be who I am. That's what I put in my mind. Whether it's the truth or not, we'll never know. But that is what drives me. That is what drives me, because there is no way for the rest of the time that I'm on this earth, and they are looking at me for more support, that I will let them down, because there's nothing that can match, nothing that I went through can match the level of pain that they went through. When you have all the females in your life that are closest to you going through something, I feel that pain worse, just like they feel that pain, because I can't, because I want to take it from them and I can't. So that is what drives me to be the best person I can be, and keep my mind positive, and always seek to have a clear understanding of myself, so I can be the best I need to be for them. I'm telling you, like I said, when I figured that out, and I saw the gift and the purpose and the dream that God would have revealed to me, I got right off a night shift. I went to school, didn't sleep, went to school, enrolled. What do I need to do? Enroll. I'm changing my major. This is what I'm doing. I started doing research. I started listening, and that's another thing, how God works. I got people, instead of sending me clips of ESPN, they sending me motivational speakers, and they sending me preachers and words for the day. And I got people that all of a sudden coming into my life, talking to me in positive. So it's amazing what happens when you set your mind on a positivity, or a positive route, I should say, what gravitates to you. Okay, like that saying that people always say, the iron sharpens iron. It's amazing what happens. So that is what I wanted to point out to y'all today, y'all. That is my grind. That is my drive, I should say. That is the reason why I grind. That is why I do what I do. As you can see my shirt, the peace of mind is worth the grind. Okay, peace of mind is worth the grind. You understand what I mean by that? Whenever you find your peace and what you need to be doing with your life, it has been worth the grind, and you will get that second win, that energy boost, that Red Bull, that 5 hour, whatever you do. This is what you're going to get for the rest of your time, because what's amazing now is working full time, going to school, taking care of the family, being out here with my new endeavor, chasing my dream. Man, it ain't no such thing as getting tired. I'm motivated because I have a drive now, and that's what I mean by that peace of mind is worth the grind. So even though I'm working harder, I'm excited to work harder. So that's what I wanted to point out to y'all today. Once again, peace of mind is worth the grind, and another thing is, don't get stuck in that dark hole. Don't think that dark hole, that rock bottom that you have hit, don't think that is your hardest moment, so that's when you give up. No, that's when you're comfortable. That's when now it's time to fight. Now it's time to grind. Now it's time to work hard up that hill so you can reach that happiness, that prosperity, that peace of mind that you're looking for, okay? I'm out, because I'm hyped up. I could talk about this all night, but I know I got to go. I'll save y'all some for next week. Once again, y'all be safe. Y'all have a blessed week. Keep working, keep grinding, keep fighting, keep praying, okay? I'm gone. Much love to y'all.